Since Spacies.
I was saying, g'day to the stream, how you doing? I don't know what's happening to my sound. Something went wrong. The countdown didn't work right. All my settings have gone out of whack. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. I was saying also hello Ali, and also g'day to Seb in the chat. We're going to be looking at some of gaming's ugliest systems and some of gaming's best looking systems. Now I tried to write that for the description for the stream, but Twitch has a problem with me putting the words ugly looking and sexy looking in the description. It said it may fall against terms and conditions or some rubbish. I'm like, what? I'm just trying to set up the description, but I couldn't write it like I had to come up with something a little bit more creative. Well, I mean, some of these systems deserve it though, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm gonna get straight into it. Right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna tier rank all the consoles in video gaming history. Well, at least as many as I can find. All the way back to before even I was born. Alright, let's get into it. Now this is a new camera angle, so let me try this. Hey, it worked. Okay. Alright, it's not like the most overly creative design, but this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be ranking from S, flaming hot rank, all the way down to poo category, and everything in between. So, the first console we're going to be looking at is this beast. Now, this is called the Fairlight Channel F. This is like one of gaming's very first consoles of all time. This is really old. Yeah, that deserves a shit emoji. Is it? Is it really? Because believe me, there's actually worse on this list. Oh, now it's disappeared. Okay, I'm going to rack this down into E, I think. I think E's fair. I don't think it's as ugly as they get, but yeah, you're right. It's not far off it. Okay, so we got our first one off the rank. Yeah, that's got to be the ugliest one for sure. No, it's not. So let's keep going. I'm going to show you more of these. The next one. Believe me when I say we've got a lot to get through, so I better get through them. This is the Rca Studio 2. I have not seen this console in the wild. The one that I showed you before, I have actually seen in the wild. In Japan only. I never saw it in Australia. I gotta say, I think it definitely is a poo ranking. I think we're not gonna have enough room in this poo ranking slot, but we'll do our best. Alright, let's move on. The next one. So we're going back from the earliest consoles and now making way through the latest console we've got on the file is the PlayStation 5. So we've got a long lot of history to get through before we get to that. Now this one, yeah, it's poo. This is the Bally Arcade's Astrocade system, or the Bally Arcade. It had many names. It looks like an answering machine. It's just hideous. It keeps getting worse and worse. So with this one, we're not going to mess around. This one also, just going straight to the poo pile. Alright, now, this one, I think you guys will recognize this. This, of course, is the Atari VCS, which later got changed to become known as the Atari 2600. This is known as the Woody. They later re-released it with more switches. So you got ones that are called the 6 switches, and then they got rid of the wood, and then they changed it to plastic. That was known as the Vader Atari unit because it looked like Darth Vader face. I'm trying not to let my retro glasses get in the way. It's an okay system. I don't think it's ugly. I don't think it's attractive. I think this is more of a D. It's got to be a D. Let's give it the D. So we got our first D console, which I think is fair. I mean, the Atari, people look at it and they love the Atari system, but only because of the nostalgia behind it. It's not the best looking console. Moving right along, yeah, they keep getting uglier. What was with the designer's fascination with answering machines back then? Anyway, this one's another poo pile one, I think. There's just really not much happening with this. This is called the APF MP1000. My God, that name just rolls off the tongue. Straight to the poo pile for you. Sorry. I didn't think there'd be so many in the poo pile, but they're just so bad. I've got to get through these quickly because some of these are just terrible. I'm not familiar with this system at all. It's called the Unisonic Tournament 2000. Unisonic Tournament 2000. Okay, look, it's got the ball thing going with, I don't know what, I think, oh, you take those, slot those out and they become controllers? I don't know. It's a weird looking system. I think it's an E. Oh, you think it's in the shit pile, do you? Alright, it's in the shit pile. There's a lot of terrible systems. The next one, oh man, what is it with the keypads? The Interton Video Computer 4000. Straight to the poo pile for you. I'm running out of room in the poo pile. Nah, it's a poo. All right, next, because it looks like an answering machine. Ah, straight again, poo pile. There's absolutely no design flair to this whatsoever. These systems do not have, like, I would love to own these systems. Don't get me wrong, but you know, if you were to ask me, what does it look good? And it looks like an old telephone. Maddie knows correct. Or a music thing. Like that music thing. All right, next one. They all look bland, right? The 1292 Advanced Programmable Video Game System. Mate, just for the name alone, you're another one in the poo pile, and I'm running out of room in the poo. In the poo pile. Now, this one, I actually know this system. It was called the Magnavox Odyssey 2. And this system was actually commercially kind of successful. And they were selling them in Australia at the time. But those controllers, I'm leaning towards a D for this one. Only because they've gone to the effort of putting a keypad on there. No other reason. So that goes in the D pile. All right, next. Oh, this one's hideous. So this is an add-on machine for one of the other ones we ranked, which was the APF MP1000. This one is called the APF Imagination Machine. Now, I'm actually a little annoyed that I didn't know about this machine beforehand, because I came up with a mock system for the successor to the Sega Mega Drive when I was in high school. I drew a prototype and I actually was going to call it the Imagination. I didn't know this thing existed. It's not a game system, is it? It's just it's a computer. It's a typewriter. It's like it was designed by someone's secretary. I'm putting it in E because it's not as bad as some of these other ones here, but it ain't great. Next. Let's get through these quickly because these are starting to do my head in. This is not great. It's called the Bandai Supervision 8000, and on that color alone, it goes into poo. There's a lot of poo here. Next one. Now, I've got a sweet spot for this one because I actually own one of these. This is the Intellivision. And I've got to give it, I mean, the controllers suck, but you could put the controllers away. It had a kind of a sleek, slimline look to it compared to the ones that came beforehand. And I love the name, the Intellivision, with the Mattel Electronics with that 70s digital font. So I am going to rank that as a D because it tried. Next one. It's just an uglier version of the one we just saw. So this is called the VTech Creativision. And you, sir, are going in the E pile. We're going to get to the good ones soon. The Cassette Vision. Actually, this one's got a little bit of a funky 70s look to it. It's actually a little bit cleaner than the other ones. And I really don't know what those dial knobby things are. I'm going to have to put it in the D. Because it's not terrible, but it's not great. So we still haven't, we've gone through a fair few. We've gone through about 10 consoles and we still haven't got anything ranking above a D. It just gives you an idea of how terrible. All right, so that was called the Cassette Vision, that last one we looked at. The next one we're looking at is called the Arcadia 2001. And again, it's not much different to the ones we've seen before. I'm sorry, but I got to put this down as a, it's a poo. It's a poo class one. All right, so the next one is called the SHG Black Point. Oh, there's really not much going on with this one, is there? I want to like it, but I can't. I think I got to put it in an E. It's a little bit cleaner looking than some of the other ones. That's it. That's all it's got going for it. Now, next one, Colecovision. This one's actually kind of famous. This is one of the big hitters back in the early 80s. And this was going head to head with Intellivision and also head to head with the Atari 2600. But it just looks like an Atari, an Intellivision. It's not looking much different. It's copying too much. So I've got no choice but to put it in the D category. I only put it in the D category because it just looks almost identical to the Intellivision. It's not much different. Now, another Atari. We're starting to see a bit of a change. This is the Atari 5200. And we're starting to see a slight lean towards a modern gaming look. And this is one of the first consoles to feature 4 players. In fact, I think this is the first one to feature a 4-player slot front on it. But this thing is massive. Like, you do not understand how big this console is. It's heavy. The back part of it, you lift that off and you put all your controllers and shit in it. And then you pack it away. I can't give this too high a rating, but I can definitely see that there was starting to be a shift towards the language. I gotta put it in a C. It's trying. And it definitely looks better than some of these other ones before it. Vectrex! I was a little bit reluctant to include this actually because I don't know if it really classes as a console or not. It's an odd one. It's its own TV and it has Vectrex. These things, if you see one in the wild, whether it's working or not, you buy it. This thing is, it looks like shit, I'll be honest. But when you see one of these running, it looks awesome. And these were ahead of their time. It just uses line graphics, no color, but I got to give it a D. It had removable controllers that you've slotted away, but yeah, it gets a D. It looks like a portable TV. Now this one I'm not familiar with. We get through some weird ones before we start to get into the more familiar, what I would call modern consoles. We've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get through before you guys will start to recognize some of these consoles. So this one, called the Gakken Compact Vision. It looks like a life support system. It gets an E. I am not familiar with it and I don't really care about it. All right, the next one. That's just a typewriter. I'm sorry. The Video Pack G7400. Whoever comes up with these names should be shot. You get an E. No, you get a D because you look similar to the other one that was in the D. That's a dog's breakfast. This looks like a mess. That's a D. That's a poo. It's called the My Vision. That's not my vision. Last one in the shitty weird ones. This one's called a Tutor. I don't mind. I don't hate it actually. It's just a keyboard. It just looks like a microcomputer. So can we give it an E? We're starting to get into what you guys would probably have even heard of or seen or know. All right, I don't have a big picture for this one, but this is the Sega Sg-1000. It was released on the same day as the Nintendo Famicom. And I've got a soft spot for this thing, because if I find one in the wild, I'm definitely buying it. But as far as looks go, I've got to give it a C. It's at least trying. And remember, this is my rankings. If you don't agree, I'm sorry. You can always just make one of these videos of your own. Now, this one, I've got the keyboard back there. This is the SC-3000. I like this system. I don't like the keyboard, but I ended up getting a version of this that actually had a hard keyboard. I don't hate this system, actually. I like the look of it. I especially love the font for the SC-3000. I've got to give this a C. Personally, I give it higher, but that's just on bias. I'm going to try and be as subjective as possible here. That goes in the C category as well. You've never seen any of these. That computer that I just showed you there was my first computer. That was the very first PC games machine that I ever owned. All right, guys. This next one. This is going to be interesting. Tell me what you guys think this one should go under. Do I have to tell you which system this is? Do you guys... F. I mean, the controller alone is... I like the look of it, but I hate holding it. It's iconic, but we're not judging it on how iconic it is. We're judging it on the looks alone. And... I gotta give it a C. It's a box. Oh wait, there's more boxes coming. There are so many more boxes coming. Alright, so that's the NES. I've got to rate it a C. The Famicom, which is basically the Japanese variation of the NES that we just saw. I like it. And I know that they didn't want it to be looking so kiddish for the American market. I actually really rate the way this thing looks. To the point where I'm actually putting it in as a B. I'm not getting I'm getting B's and D's. I don't know what you want, Paulie. You're just hitting letters on your keyboard there, mate. I'm going to leave it as a B. So there you go. I personally think that the Famicom looks better than the NES. I just think I don't like the cord being so short on it, but I do like the fact that the controllers have got their own little home to go to. But yeah, but you're just writing B, D. You're not writing NES B, to make it easy for me. All right. Next one is weird. It looks like a toilet seat. This one's called the PV-1000. It was a Casio machine. Really don't know too much about it. There's a few like that in this list. It's got to go in the D, and I've got to make the D category higher. How am I going to do this? This is getting awkward now. All right, now, this is the Atari 7800. The Atari 7800 looks very similar to the 5200, except a lot smaller, sleeker. This is a good design. I actually don't mind this. Forget about the controller. Just look at the console itself. I don't mind this. All right. What tier should this go in? I'm going to put it in as a B. Actually, no, that's a bit... No. We'll put it in as a C. That's just getting silly. It's a C. I thought that was one of Atari's best ones because they actually really tried to get modern and sleek with it. Which is something that they weren't doing in their previous consoles. This one is also an Atari. It is the Atari Xegs. I know there's a few people that would have had this back in the 80s and love it especially for the music. I got to put it in the D's. Only reason why I'm putting it in the D's is because it was too Space 1999. It was very 70s inspired, And this came out in the mid to late 80s, so it should have moved on in design language by then. All right, next one. The Amstrad Gx4000. They are trying, but I think they're trying too hard. Those buttons look like lollies. Where's the design language? It's just all wobbling lines. There's no sort of flow to it. It looks like a modem. Let's just call it what it looks like, a freaking modem. D. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not great. This is the Commodore 64 game system. Now, all they did with this system was hack a Commodore 64, remove the freaking keyboard, put a game slot cartridge slot in it, and they called it a day. This abomination, this piece of shit, is probably one of the worst designs of all time. This deserves its own category of shitness, and it's called double poo. This is so bad that it gets two poos, and it's going to sit by itself in its own little category here. Yeah, I think that's. I'm satisfied with that. I feel really good, and I'm glad I got that off my chest, and I can now say that that system is just an absolute piece of shit. It's official. There's a double shit. Yep, there is now a double shit category. That this system is so bad that it gets its own category. Not just because of how bad it looks, but what they did and how scummy they were to try and offload more systems onto this unsuspecting public. So, yeah, fuck Commodore for that. That was real bad. All right, now we're starting to get into some interesting ones. All right, so this one is the Turbografx 16. It's got to be a D category. I've never actually even seen one of these in the wild myself. Look at all the D categories. There's so many. Mediocre is strong in video gaming, isn't it? That looks like a power strip with holes. The Commodore one. It's terrible, isn't it? All right, the next one. The PC Engine, I've got to put it in the same category as the Famicom. It's a B for me. I actually really like this system. It is super small, very powerful for the time, and it was able to go toe-to-toe with the Mega Drive back on release. This system is so small, like the controller is about the same size as the system itself. I just really like it. I love the system, and unfortunately they had to redesign it for the American market because they thought it was too small, that Americans would think that it's a toy and they're not getting enough, you know, gaming for their money or something. So now the next one, the Sega Mega Drive. So we, ladies and gentlemen, are going to have our first S tier. Yes, it's going in the S tier. I don't want to hear you guys complain and whinge about it, but we have got our first S tier console straight to the top. Put it in the top. That's gaming console sleekness in its very essence. This is my favorite, one of my favorite looking consoles of all time, and I just love this system. When it came out, it looked like something that Batman would love to have in his Batcave. All right, next, the Neo Geo Aes. I'm not gonna lie, this is a sexy bit of kit. This looks really good. Does it look S tier? It's definitely S tier money. I think I got to give it an A. There's just something holding it back. It's got air vents at the top for. And it's got no real design language. It's just a black. I mean, it looks cool. Not saying that it looks bad, but I'm just not sure if it's quite top of the range cool. I was thinking B or I'm going A. A it is. So the Neo Geo goes into the A. We've got our first A category entry. The Neo Geo. Look how big that bitch is. It's huge. I actually got to borrow one in the 90s. I got to take it home and play it for a weekend. That was, actually I had it for a week. That was bizarre. That was like having an arcade in my house. That felt weird. So this is the Nintendo Super Famicom, also the same as the PAL Region Famicom, or Super Nintendo I should say. Not like what they got in America. America. I gotta put it in the S. We have got our next S. We got our S category. That's 2 S category consoles. I've got to say, nah, it's an S tier. It definitely looks cool. I love the look of the Super Nintendo. Don't let anyone fool you that just because I'm a Sega guy that I can't look at and respect and admire the Super Nintendo as well. I remember when I got that machine and thinking, I've got the best of both worlds here. I've got the Mega Drive, which looks freaking awesome, and I've also got the Super Nintendo, and it looked awesome. There was no faulting it. I can't even mock it. And believe me, back in the day, I used to mock anything Nintendo, but I couldn't mock it. It was just too good. So, and I went on my lunch break, that's right, while working at Sega to buy one. So there you go. We've got our second S category, or S tier, consoles. Brings a tear to my eye. Alright, the next one. Alright, what do we do with this piece of shit? Alright, we mock it for how hideous it looks, but look, we've seen some of the poo and the double poo category machines that we've got. I can't put it in that cat. I actually didn't realize that now that I look at it, it's actually ribbed. What? At the bottom here, it's ribbed. Is that true? Is that how it's supposed to look? I've never actually owned one. I don't even think I've seen one. It's ribbed, but for whose pleasure? It's got to go to B. It's a B. Yeah, I know you can mock it and put it in the D, but it doesn't belong with these ones here. I think realistically, there's got more design flair than the NES. They are trying to do something with it. But compared to the Famicom, the stupid Yanks should not have touched it. They should have left the Famicom and gone with that in their country. I really do not know what they were thinking when they tried to redesign it. It's just such a bad decision. So, the American Super Nintendo in my category ranking gets a B tier, and I've got my chat saying that it should be D. I'm resisting the urge to listen to them, and we're going to move on. So we've gone and handled 2 very classic systems, the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. And now we're going back into the poo territory again. This is the CD TV, the Commodore Cd Tv. Poo. Yep. It just looks like shit. It's such a bad looking system. The less we say about... Oh, and now we've got the Philips CDI. It's a VCR. It's not a game machine. You didn't even think... You failed your homework. You thought that you were told to do a video player. And then you realised at the last minute, oh shit, this is actually supposed to be a video game system. Oh, well, just make it a video player. So that gets that's a poo. Now the next one, the Sega CD or the Mega CD. We're calling it both. I love it personally. I've got one. When this came out, this looks so damn good, especially with the lights flashing for the ready and the access. It looks so futuristic. And when you turn this out, the lights out, and you look at this in the dark lit room, it looks so futuristic. However, it's massive. It is huge. And the CD tray gets a tick, but the cords and stuff coming out from it gets a downgrade. I have to put this in a B because I liked it. I love it. I want to give it a higher ranking, but I'm trying to be realistic with it. It's got to be a B. But damn, when you see it in person, it is a damn bit of sexy kit. Oh God. What is that? I've never even heard of this system. The Tandy video information system. Nah, just go away. Don't. Just stop trying to cash in with your poo. You're a poo category entrant, and that's where you stay. God, there's a lot of shit consoles out there, isn't it? Yeah, poo indeed. All right, now this next one is a Sega console, and you've probably not seen one before. This is the Sega Pico. It's a kid's machine. It's not really a games console. It kind of is, but it's more of a learning device. So it creates a bit of an issue. Where do you rank it? Because it's not exactly ugly, but it's not exactly something you'd want to own. It's got to go E. Because it's not, as far, I'm judging these as a games console. Something that an 16-year-old would look at. Would they want it? And the answer to that is no, not really. That gets an E. I think that's one thing you'll find when you look at all these consoles so far. What's one thing that you notice? The colors. There's really little in the way of bright colors. They are very, very boring black and beige overall so far. And that doesn't actually change a lot. All right, this next one, I'm going to really just, it's called the Konami Pico. It's so bad that that's the only picture I could find on the internet. That just goes straight into the poo category. It's not even worth mentioning. Next, the Pioneer Laser Active. Now, it looks shit, but this system's actually quite interesting. You can actually buy modules to turn it into a Mega Drive or a whole bunch of other different systems. You can play Mega CD games on this thing. And as you can see, it's got a 6-button Mega Drive controller on it. However, that's not what we're talking about here. It is a shit looking system. Anything that looks like a VCR automatically is a poo category for me. Next, the Neo Geo Cd from SNK. It's trying. The controller, not bad. Although that D-pad on it's a bit shit. But the console itself just looks like a D category. This is a lot of D category entries. That looks like a deformed Mac box. All right, next one, the 32X. It's hideous. It's a mushroom. It's an E. It's not shit, but it's just not great either. So that's an E. I never liked the 32X. I thought that they should have just moved on. I would have liked to seen them release the Sega Neptune. Was it the Neptune? Which had the Mega Drive and also the 32X inbuilt in one. But I think they should have just scrapped all that crap and just made the Sega Saturn Mega Drive backward compatible. Everyone's happy then. But no, they had to create internal bickering and arguing, and all they had to do was somehow work out a way to make the Sega Saturn Mega Drive compatible, and then everyone's happy. And they didn't do it. They failed. All right, next one's weird because it's not really a console that we in the West are familiar with, but it's the Satellaview. Satellaview? Is it Sattler or Satella, like Nutella? I gotta put this in the same category as the Mega CD, really, which is a B. Because it's not that ugly. That SNES looks like that it wants to kiss me. What? Also, do you notice the cartridge thing on top? The cartridge thing on top, I was actually very close to buying one in Japan. So you could interchange and change. It was like DLC for the games. We are halfway through. It's a long slog. All right, next one is a console that I personally had not even heard of. Can anyone tell me what this console is? I'm just curious if anyone in the chat even knows what this is. No one in the chat? The Super Great? No, this one is called the A-Can. I don't know. So if I go up, look up A-Can, which is also, okay, it was released in Taiwan and it only had 12 games. Wow. Just on looks alone, I don't think it looks that bad. It just is a system that I'm not overly familiar with. It's got to be a D. This is a lot of D category Do we have to expand this out even further? Oh my god. All right, the next one. This is a system that was not really talked about much in the West, but was quite... It had a cult following in Japan. Okay, so the FM Towns Marty. It just... I want it to be a C, but it's a D. There's just nothing really inspiring about the way this machine looks. Very plain. It's a D. Another D. So much D. The Amiga 32 CD32. The controller, first off, thank God we're not judging it on controller alone, but that controller sucks. It's an E. It's just a really bad looking system. I do not like it. How are you supposed to hold a controller? I don't know. It's like, like that. All right, we put that one in the E. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I actually didn't mind the look of this back in the day when they launched it. This was supposed to be a behemoth of a system. The 3DO from Real. This is the Panasonic version. There were different versions of this machine, but this is the only one that I'm going to concentrate for the time being. I don't mind it. I wouldn't say it's like the best ever of all time, but it's actually a good looking console. It's a C. It's a solid C. It's just a decent looking console. I can't really fault it. Probably could have done with a bit more flair, but at the same time, it's not ugly either. It's massive. They're a big unit, but all right. Now, the next one. You may have seen one of these in a dentist. This is the Atari Jaguar or Jaguar. I don't know how some people pronounce it. I say Jaguar. All right, look, forget about the controller. The controller is a piece of crap. The machine itself, it's a C. No, it's a D. We're putting in D. Geez, that changed quick, didn't it? Yeah, no, it's a D. So many Ds. When they design these machines, they just don't go the extra mile to make it look really cool, do they? All right, now the next one is a machine that I am not familiar with. It's called the Pleiadia. I'm guessing it's an Indian machine, just on the name alone, but I'm probably wrong. The controller looks terrible, but the controller forms part of the system, where, as you can see, oh my God, it's an infrared controller. Oh, this would have been terrible. It's a CD-based machine. All right, they tried with the color, but if you just pretend that this is a beige system and look at it on looks alone, really hasn't got much going for it. It's an E. Don't fool me with your bright colors and your shitty design. It's shit. It's not poo. It's just not far off it. It's not. No, this is not an Apple console. That's coming up. Sega Saturn. So, where do you go with this? I like the look of it. I like the language, the design language. The white one of this looks awesome. But I can't put it in S. I think it's got to go in B. What was the main console that was rivaling, that was a rival, I should say, to the Sega Saturn back in the day? All right, the PlayStation. Where do you think I'm gonna put the PlayStation, guys? I want to see your guesses. Well, first, actually, no, don't look at my guesses. I want you to rank it. What do you think it deserves? This is an S tier. This is what a console should look like. I love the PlayStation 1 design. It is, in my opinion, perfect. It is just symmetrical. It is simple. It is effective, and it is iconic. And that's what I'm going for here, is the iconic look as well as the functional look. Don't try and don't try and call me out and saying that, oh, well, the NES is iconic. Yeah, but it looks like a toaster. So I love the look of the machine. And the only thing that was wrong when it first came out was that the controller that they first released didn't have analog sticks. That's the only fault that you could find with the original PlayStation back on launch, which they shortly went back to and corrected with the dual pad. I'm sorry, but that's my S tier. So we got 3 gaming consoles sitting in the S tier category now, in the S tier. So next one, it's an interesting one, and this will answer Paulie Kwan's question from before. The PS1 or the Persony. Or the Persone. Or is it a silent P? Is it just a Sone? I'll tell you what, when it comes to revision consoles, this one really does a good job. It takes the original machine. It says, okay, we need to strip it back and save money and make this cheaper. But we don't want to lose the aesthetics of the first machine, but we want it to be different. It's an A. It's got to be an A. It is such a damn good looking machine. Sony really knows how to knock it out of the park with designs. All right, so that's the PS1. Next, the Nec Pc Fx. It's a modem. It's just not great, is it? I mean, if I got this thing Christmas as a 16-year-old, I would have been, oh wow, okay, that's great, let's set it up. Put it to the back of the cupboard. I don't really like the look of it. I just want to see what I can do. Apparently it's a decent machine, kinda. It's a D. Now, what's one company when it comes to design are known for being professionals with and uber with their designs? Apple. And this is the only Apple machine in this whole conversation. The Apple Pippin. And I'm sorry, but this drops into the same category as the one that we just looked at. It just looks like a modem. It's terrible. It's a D. The Atari Jaguar Cd. It's an E. It just looks terrible. It looks like an afterthought. It looks like a toilet. When it opens up, it looks like a toilet. It's an E from me. I mean, it's so bad I could hardly find any photos of it online when I was looking it up. If we were doing a rank on names alone, this one almost gets into S tier. This is the Casio Loopy. I'm not gonna lie, I actually like the design. I like the look of this machine. I don't know if it's S tier or even A. I'm thinking C with this. They've tried to make it different. They've tried to make it unique. They've got a big fat eject button there for the cartridges, an open button for the SV100 CD slot, I think it is. I don't know what seal out means. And there's some sort of scissor thing going on the right there. I don't know what that means. But yeah, this is a C. It's a happy. It looks like a console. It looks like what a console should be looking like. So you go in. That's a surprise, actually. That a non-gaming company could actually get a console to look more like a gaming console than some of these other companies. All right, the next one, controversial. Here we go. I don't know what to say. It looks like a 3DO. It looks very similar to the 3DO, actually. It's got 4 controller slot in front. That works in its favor. It's just curvy, so you can't put drinks on it. But besides the button on the front, I mean the badge on the front, Nintendo 64, there's no real language design flair to it. Super Jude, you are as biased as heck when it comes to this. You are such a Nintendo fangirl. I'm sorry. No, I won't listen to you. It goes into the C category, right next to its friend, the 3DO. Because it's about, look at it, it's very similar. The big spoofy sort of legs on it. It's not much different to the to the 3DO. If I was to put it above in the B category, then that's not doing the 3DO a justice. It's not fair to the 3DO. So it sits near its 3DO friend there. B indeed. All right, and now speaking of N64, the 64DD sounds like a bra. It's also got to go into B. It just looks like very similar. No, but D, C. There's really nothing inspiring about it. It's just a thing that you sit on top. Let's move on. Okay. Now, the next one. I don't know which system I'm going to show next. I really don't know which one I'm going to show next. It's a Dreamcast. All right, let's have a look at the Dreamcast. I bought this today and couldn't get the blue one. They don't have a blue Dreamcast for us people in the power region. The Sega Dreamcast. Once again, iconic. It is what a console should look like. This thing looks fantastic. I love the sleek look to it. It is small. Okay, not so quiet. I will give you that. But when you hear that disc start up and that beep sound kick in, it is so satisfying. And it looks cool. The whole triangular thing that they got going, the design language there is really good. They've looked at the PlayStation and borrowed elements, and also the Sega Saturn. They've got their open, the power button on the left and the open button. Simple, right? Not overcomplicated. Power light in the middle. This tray. Done. You don't need to do too much. Here's a little did you know fact. When they were releasing the Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, they were originally not going to put the Sega logo on it. But the CEO pushed for it and he said, no, you're putting a Sega logo on there. This is a Sega product. I want that logo on there. But yeah, there was strong argument for it not to go with a Sega logo. But it is an S category, S tier ranked system on looks alone. There you go. I'm probably pissing a few people off with my selections. I don't care. Now next is the Samsung Nuon. I'm not going to mess around with this. Straight to the poo pile for you. Get down there. Go on, off you go. Just get down there. Stop arguing. There's no point in anyone arguing for this machine. This goes straight into the poo pile. Every time we hear farts, I smile. The PlayStation 2. I'm not a fan of the grilled look. I know it's the best game, the highest selling console of all time, but it only sold as well as it did because it was a freaking DVD player. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a D rate ranking. I would go probably to a C. It's ugly. I'm not a fan. So D for you. Join your many friends in the D category. It's not a very aspired looking system. I've really got it. Speaking of design, I need to redesign this tier system to accommodate all the D's in the house. That sounds wrong. On the other hand, the Slim is a C. I actually don't mind it. It's a step in the right direction. And it goes into the C category. The Nintendo GameCube. As far as console designs go, so we got one S tier. We got Emerald with an S tier. Guys, I've got to agree. When it comes to game designs, my personal take on the GameCube is I love how compact, small, iconic, simple, and effective. The handle is a gimmick. No one freaking uses the handle. That was only so that they could show off on stage. But The only downside to that console was the fact that they didn't go with bigger discs. I would have liked to have seen them use a larger disc format. However, that what they had to work with, they really milked it. Maybe a cartridge slot would have been good to, I don't know, have some games available on cartridge / CD. But maybe they were just trying to move away from cartridges altogether. So there's that probably. And also when you've got one of these and you've got the GBA adapter underneath, oh my God, that looks awesome. Didn't get into the GameCube on launch. But when I picked one up many years later, 2017, I think it was actually, fell in love with it, and I was regretting not being a part of the GameCube family all that time ago. So yes, we have got another S-tier console, the Nintendo GameCube. I thought I had one sitting there, but I don't. Yeah, the Xbox. What do we say about the Xbox? I really want to I love the X. I love the design of it, but it's just too big. It's massive. But does that mean that it's not a good design? I've got to give it a C. No, I'm going to bump it up to B. It would have been an A if it was smaller. It does lose point. It is heavy. It is dangerous. If you drop one of these on you, it will hurt. They are heavy. I've got 3 of them lying around the house somewhere. Probably 4 actually. Yeah, I'm happy with it being a B category. Because it is iconic. It does look cool. It's just too big. Next on the list is one that you guys have probably... We've got a couple here coming up now that you guys are not familiar with. You ready? This one. The Gx port. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually like it. I think this looks like an interesting looking device. I'm a sucker for silver buttons. I'm a sucker for that glass aesthetic, and I'm a sucker for the nice layout of this thing. Does it look like a games console though? No. So I'm not going to totally poo-poo on this thing, but I'm going to put it in a D category. Guys, forget about the red rings of death. Forget about all that nonsense. What do you think when it comes to the design of this console? The Xbox 360, the OG, the original. On looks alone, because since Spacies is going to surprise you maybe, I'm going to put it in the S tier. It is a damn good console, and it's one that deserves an S tier ranking. I love the machine. I love the whole intelligent layout of the system. You've got your expansion port at the top, so you can expand the memory. You've got memory cards at the front. You've got an option of stand up or lie on its side. It looks sleek. It has a design language which is very unique to the Xbox 360. And it's just a sleek looking system that even to this day, not that there's many working still. I'm talking about looks. I'm not actually talking about how it functions here, okay? But it just looks, it was a good looking system. It was killer. It was a killer system. So it's deserving of an S tier. There you go. I don't know if I surprised you. So now we've got some variants coming up. The Xbox 360S. I'm going to go with B ranking on this. Not B, A. It's still good. It's just didn't hit the mark that the original design did. So it gets an A. Which is still, you know, still good. Next, the Xbox 360E, the forgotten Xbox. This is the very last Xbox design that came out, and it's got to get a D from me. Because it just was starting to lean over towards the VCR look to it. So it loses mark. It gains some credibility with the whole venting patterns going on. And it was trying to retain a bit of a design language, but it just looked too VCR to me. So it goes with the other casualties of the D category. which is a category you'll want to avoid. All the consoles that go in the D category get lost to the sands of time. The Hyperscan! Hyperscan! This is such a bad system. This is so Have you ever seen a review of this system? Have you ever seen what this machine looks like when it's up and running? It is such a fucking joke. It's got to go. How far down can we go with this? Can we go triple poo? No. Okay, it is in the double poo category. It joins the Commodore console for just absolute, utter pooiness when it just comes to... It's just... I think I would rather be looking at a, piece of dog turd than looking at that thing. It's just hideous. It's a double poop. So we get our second double poop entry. The PlayStation 3. They are freaking heavy. I've got one there, but I don't want to drag it out. I might get a sore back. I had one that blew up. Okay, let's talk about its pluses. Loads of different options at the front when it came to connectivity. You had loads of different memory card options and USB ports. The original even could take flash cards. Don't even know what that was about. I like the touch sensitive on-off button and the eject button. Actually, I like that. I like it. And I like the font that they use for the PlayStation 3, the Spider-Man font. I also like the fact that you can change out and swap the memory relatively easily enough. All right. And I like the fact that, yeah, you can stand it up. All right. What I don't, and in the rounded edges, I don't like the scratchy surface of it. You only have to run your fingernails over it and it scratches. The old George Foreman design grill. Okay, so let's concentrate what I don't like. The scratchability of it. The heaviness. Oh my God, what happened there? The heaviness of this system. It is a lump. He's a big boy. What do we put with it? It's got to be a C. I can't totally flat out hate it, but it ain't great. It's a console. It's mediocre. It's one of Sony's worst efforts, actually. Yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let's get on with it. Now, we're going to look at the first revision. I want to like it, but it's just too bland. They've tried to replicate the whole waffle look of it, and they've reduced the weight. But it's just too... They've gone the opposite direction now, and they've gone too bland. It's a D. Far out, there's a lot of D damn consoles in there. Actually, no. It is an E. It is terrible. It's not great. The harmonica, the super slim. The slide door doesn't fucking work. It is cheap and nasty. This is the one you don't want to get. This is not good. It goes right alongside its other mate. There we go. It's an E. So the next one, the Wii. Now, famously, it was meant to be designed to be no bigger than 3 DVD covers, I think it was. They succeeded. It's very small, compact, comically small, you might say. I like the design, how it sits on an angle when you have it on the proper official dock. But it's a square. We got the whole square thing going on. So it loses marks for that. I do like the flashing pulsating blue light on it. I miss that. It's a C. Actually, no, I'm going to go up to a B. It's good, but it's just got a few things holding it back. The squareness of it is what the main thing that holds me back on it. I like it. I just don't love it. Now, next one. I'm just going to call it. I don't like it. but I like it. It's just weird. It's strange how to explain this system. As a revision console, it's great. It looks like they've stuck to the original and tried to remain faithful to the original design language. So ugly that it's awesome. Yeah. So, no, I wouldn't put it in B. B's getting carried away. It's a C. And I'm not going to change my mind on that. That's a C. Also, you'll notice that it's one of the few that's actually not black, beige, or brown. Alright, this next one, if this doesn't work, I don't care, but let's just see. Does anyone know what the hell this is? It's called a Zebo. It's a 3G enabled entertainment and education system. It enabled users to play video games and connected to the internet. Zebo was targeted at developing markets such as Brazil and Mexico. Do you know what? It's an E. It's just uninspiring. It's just like when you look at it, you just go, eh, really? Eh, meh. There's a lot of people that will poo-poo on the Wii U. Are you one of them people? And in this case, we're looking at the black one, because that's the one I associate with. I'm gonna put it in the B category because it's very similar vein to the Xbox in that I want to like it, but it's just got that, and the Wii, it's just very much like the Wii. PlayStation 4. I actually forgot to put the Pro in, which is what I've got, but we'll stick with the PlayStation 4 for now. Can't believe I forgot to do that. PlayStation 4 design. It's okay. I'm not overly excited about it though. I don't think it looks right up and down like this. I've never seen anyone display it like that, to be honest. I keep forgetting that that is actually a thing to do with it. It's a C. I'm not offended by it, but I'm also not overly excited about it either. So it goes in with the C category alongside the PlayStation 2 Slim. No, the PlayStation 2. Yeah, the PlayStation 2 Slim and the Nintendo 64. All right, next on the list is the Xbox One. Now, I would almost certainly want to put this in the poo category because it looks just like a VCR. Bang in. But I think that would be just a little bit unfair with this one. I don't mind the look of this system. It is big. The Xbox One was a big boy, but they made it like that so that the cooling was going to be primary focus. Give me a second while I've inadvertently put it in the poo category. That's not where I meant for it to go. I'm just trying to see if I've got a precedence for it being in the E category or D. Okay, didn't we have another one that was very much like a boxy? Hang on. And it's going in the big... There's a lot of games in this consoles in this category. It's in the D pile. Look at the D pile. It is huge. There's a lot of mediocre. Actually, that's below that. No, that's mediocre. D is for mediocre. Not really bad, but not great either. Right, next on the list. Now, this kind of goes north. The Xbox One S. This is when they started to refine the look of the system. It's still boxy, but that's their signature. Not really something I'm overly, keen on, but that's what their signature was. I like the cartridge slot design, or the CD slot design. It's a simple system. It's just does what it's meant to do. Sit under a TV and play games. I'm going to put this in the D. C. Sorry, C. Because it does look better than the Xbox One. But it's not fantastic either. The next one is the Nintendo Switch. Now this one is weird. Emerald Ranger says, I just like the slick look. All right, hang on a second. Are you saying that it should go B? All right. I'm sold, because it is markedly better than the Xbox One OG model. All right, now the Nintendo Switch. Real hard console to rate, because what do you class as the console? The dock and the system, or do you look at it as being, no, it's just the I'm going to class it with the dock and the Joy-Cons in as being the system. On looks alone, just looks, not function. I'm talking about looks. I think Nintendo would have gone with an S ranking here if they made the dock maybe glow or have some panel on the front that did some kind of display. But because they didn't go that one step further, they miss out on getting the S rank. I've got to put it as an A category. It's a great looking system, don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking that it's just something holding it back from being one of the best of all time. So it gets an A. How do you judge this behemoth of a thing? It's simple. It got mocked, all right? Let's not get away from the fact that when it got announced, it was mocked. This thing was supposed to be an ashtray or a fridge. But Xbox kind of owned it, and they're like, okay, yeah, it looks like a fridge, so what? We like the design. I like the design. Would I class this as a S rank? And my answer to that would be no. When they first announced this, they made such a big deal about the green top. When you look into it, it's got these green features on the inside of the holes. And it was made to look like it glows. So when I first saw it, my first instinct was, oh wow, have they put green lights on the top? That's freaking cool. And then I found out, no, it's just, it looks green. Sorry, Xbox, you lose a mark for that. I don't think it needs much in this. I love the simplicity of it. It's not stupidly overdone fancy like another console we know, which we'll get to in a second. And it really does the job. It's not a VCR. You look at this thing and you don't think, oh, that's just a modem or a VCR. This looks like it's meant to be a games console. And in the same vein as the Gamecube, I think they've gone ahead and made something that looks truly iconic. I have to give this an A. Again, this is my ranking. This is my opinion. It gets an A ranking. Hard to see in that shot, isn't it? But yeah, I like the Xbox Series X. I've got it right here, just near my feet. I can see the green little accents at the top. I just wish it was lit up, and then it would have got a perfect S ranking. All right, next one. What do you guys think of the Xbox Series S? I am so close to giving this an S because it looks spectacular in person. However, it's just a bit too simple. I don't know. There's something holding me back from making this an S ranking. It's got to be an A. One of the best looking consoles to come out in many years. It's just it's in the A. Don't be disappointed with an A. A is great. Now finally we get to our last one. The PlayStation 5. It's a freaking modem. I don't like it. And it's big. It's massive. You can't put it in your cabinet. It doesn't sit sideways. It looks like it's a fish out of water flopping on its side when it's sideways. And when it is upright, you can't put it in a gaming cabinet. Neither can you do that with the Xbox Series X. I grant you that. But it gets a C from me. I just don't like. I think Sony were really trying too hard, and they missed the mark for me. When I saw the reveal for this, I was really truly disappointed when I saw the look of it. And I'm like, okay, well that's a thing, but it's not the thing I wanted. I hate the stand. The stand is so tacky. Also, making any changes to the system, you have to mess around with the covers. and it's a bit of a process. It goes in the C category for my books. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. I do not care. It goes in the C. Get over there. You go next to your mate, the PlayStation 4. So, boys and girls, that is it. We have ranked all the major game system consoles of all time. All time. Wrapping up, we've got 6 consoles in the S category. The Sega Mega Drive, the Super Nintendo / Famicom, the Sony PlayStation, the Dreamcast, the Gamecube, and the Xbox 360 are all consoles that I look at and go, mwah, they look so damn sublime. They are awesome. These are consoles that really make me happy when I look at the console design and think this is what consoles should look like. Then we get on to the A category, the Neo Geo. It is a beast of a machine, and it just screams and demands respect. And it almost got an S category, but it was just something holding it back. Then you got the PS1, which is one of the best revision consoles of all time. Speaking of revision consoles, you've got the Xbox 360 S, I think it was called. Such a great revision though. I've got one of them myself. The Switch, hard category to put that, like hard machine to rank. Because is it a console? Is it a handheld? Okay, let's just treat it like a console and see where it lands. Then you got the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S with their Microsoft tried and tested design language that they got going at the moment. Not everyone's going to agree with it. I'm buggered. I'm really stuffed. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to now throw over to some credits, but in the meantime, my name's been Brian and I've been gaming since Spacies.
Since Spacies.